It's Tuesday evening and it's 6 p.m. UK time. This is the Spiritual Discussion Program. I'm Saad in Southeast London, and with me as usual is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are?
One is fine and it's cloudy and cool.
Cloudy and cold. Okay, here in UK it has been raining on and off, heavy rain and overcast, and maybe cold as well, or cool. So, welcome listeners to this spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uptrushin. And every week we have a new topic for discussion. The topic tonight is the claims by family. The claims by family. If you want to join in the discussion with any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 00447939641958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is Bless Radio 1. That's Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. If you scroll down the page, homepage, you will see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments there. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Uptrushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Uptrushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail Message lives so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic for discussion tonight is the claims by family. The claims by family. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. Gregory, as you know, I like to look up in the dictionary the meaning of the words in the topic for our discussion. So again, the topic is the claims by family. So the first keyword there is claims. So I looked that up in the dictionary. I got 2 definitions there. The first one, it says state or assert that something is the case, typically without providing evidence or proof. They give an example there. The Prime Minister claimed that he was concerned about third world debt. Gregory, what do you say about this definition in regards to our discussion for tonight?
I think it's precise enough.
Okay. Let me continue with the second definition for, again, the meaning of the word claims. Formally request or demand. Say that one owns or has earned something. If no one, and the example they've given in the dictionary, there's a sentence says, if no one claims the items, they will become crown property. Let me just repeat that. It says formally request or demand. Say that one owns or has earned something. What do you say about this one, Gregory?
These are descriptions which fortifies the first assertion you made. It is also appropriate.
Okay, good. That's good. Thank you. The second key word that I looked up in the dictionary is, of course, family. So the word meaning of the word family, and it has gives us 2 definitions for the word family. The first one, group of one or more parents and their children living together as a unit. What do you say about this one, Gregory?
That is too restricted, although it's also correct. But what you find is that when families are mentioned, there must be an association. It doesn't have to be blood relatives.
Right. So, well, the second one that is again maybe not meeting that requirement, but it says all the descendants of a common ancestor. So, Greg, anything to say on that?
You find that it's still very restricted. You don't have to have a common ancestor to become a family. there must be some connection which may not be blood relation, as the dictionary has said. There must be a property which is general to all. That property is the association. Whenever there's an association, then one may talk about family in the general sense.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Of course, there are people who become orphans and they're adopted, and and that becomes a family of the new adopted family. So that would still be called a family, even though they're not blood related. So obviously there are cases like that, and as you said, there could be association, which we haven't defined that what is the association, but some sort of association which makes them a family member. So that it doesn't have to be so exact as the way that dictionary has said it here. So thank you for that, Gregory. Now, just to repeat, the topic of our discussion tonight is the claims by family. So, Gregory, let me start with this first question, really, proper question, I would say. This is, do children have automatic rights from their parents? If so, what are these rights? I've got more really to say, but let me just start with that. So do children have automatic rights from their parents? If so, what are these rights?
There is a misnomer when rights are mentioned. For rights only come about when some duties or tasks have been fulfilled. For children, it is only the willingness of parents to take on certain responsibilities to assist their offspring. It doesn't mean that the children automatically have rights, and therefore parents must punish themselves to fulfill these rights. Most of these things is done or are done from a free volition to be of assistance to others.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this understanding and clarification about rights. In fact, Gregory, I'm going to just put this out there for our understanding. So in the dictionary, I also looked at this one up in the dictionary for the word rights. And there it says rights are legal, social, or ethical principles of freedom or entitlement. That is, rights are fundamental normative rules about what is allowed of people or owed to people according to some legal system, social convention, or ethical theory. So, Gregory, that definition in the dictionary, has this any relevance for our discussion?
The framework for our discussions are the laws of nature, not the opinions which some legal systems have put down. Therefore, such as you yourself just read out are not appropriate as such, although they can be taken into cognizance.
Right. So thank you, Gregory, for again clarifying this point and helping for our discussion and understanding in this show tonight. We always need a context. We learned that, well, not only last week's show, but we always know there's a context for when we have a discussion, and the context in our show is the laws of nature or creation, which brought us into being and which run this world of this creation, through, obviously we came through nature, and they are natural laws which function, which we must be aware of and must understand. So thank you for that, Gregory. Now, previously I asked about rights of children with their parents. Now I want to ask about, do parents have automatic duties for their children? And if so, what are these duties?
Again, when one looks at these things, what age range or what age range are you referring to? Of course, a child who has just been born is completely helpless. But it is the task of the parents that made it possible for such a personality to incarnate, to take on duties to ensure that particular child grows up until it gets to a state where it is capable of taking care of itself. Therefore, it is the task of the parents to ensure they are able to support the child to such a state where subsequently the child is able to take on its support by itself.
Thank you very much again, Gregory, for that answer. I'm just putting all these questions so that we have set like a framework, context for our discussion, so that everybody sort of sees where you are standing, or what is meant to be this understanding, or what children's duties and rights and parents' duties and rights, how they work together. I know some of these things could be very, very obvious, but it's just good to clear it up at the beginning, so that as we go deeper into this discussion, we know where our discussion is, the framework is for the discussion. So thank you for that again, Gregory. Now, so you've said basically that the parents brought the children into this world, so they'd automatically have to bring, as no baby can look after himself, so they must be taken care of, educated, given a home, and so on and so on. We don't have to go into all the specifics. It's quite clear what is necessary, and bring them up to adulthood, so they can maintain themselves, but not have to rely on the parents anymore. So that could be the age range. You were referring to an age range, so that you can say is reached their adulthood. Now, so Gregory, another question is a related question to this. Do children have duties to their parents?
It is only imperative that when at the beginning, children rely on their parents for their welfare. There's no doubt about that. Subsequently, when the children hopefully become independent, they will not be called children anymore. They would have outgrown their childhood, and therefore should be able to contribute to the smooth running of the home if they are still in the home.
Thank you for that answer there, Gregory. These answers, when you think about it, if you look at, let's say, animals, and I know we are not animals, but we just to see what happens with the animals. It seems for them, when a baby whatever animal baby is born, very quickly, within maybe months or even years, a few years, the baby is able to become independent. That's the key word I noted there, Gregory, you mentioned before. And live by themselves maybe already. And some can be very, very early. When you see these nature programs on TV or even internet, you see that those babies, animal babies, I would call them, very quickly seem to, develop their abilities. Could be swimming, could be anything really, feeding themselves. Somehow they seem to very quickly move forward in their development. With humans, it takes quite a long time. We say adult is normally, let's say, 18 years of age. It could be 16 in some places. So it takes a long time for a child, a human child, to turn into adult, while the animals, as I say, seem to become independent, if you use that word independent, quite quickly. So it's quite a learning, not curve, but quite a learning period for humans compared to animals. Now, I don't know if should ask a question on that as such, but is there any special reason there, Gregory, why a human child takes so long to become independent, let's call it independent, compared to an animal child or animal baby?
Well, in accordance with the laws of creation, the inner core of man is of spirit. The inner core of the animal is that of the animistic. In the gradations of creation, first you have the spiritual, then you have the animistic, and finally you have the world of matter. In the world of matter, that which is closest to the world of matter is the animistic. Therefore, you find it's able to adjust very quickly to the characteristics of the world of matter, whereas that which is of spirit takes a bit longer time, first to adjust to that which is animistic, and subsequently adjust to that which is of the world of matter. And you then find that that which is closest to matter adjusts very quickly, whereas that which is furthest away takes time to adjust itself. So it is the time of adjustment that really counts. Much of what is mentioned here takes into consideration the real classification or the real categorization of the species in creation. Which species in creation, the sciences which are used as basis for understanding, the sciences themselves which do not have a knowledge of this species the way it has been categorized in nature, in creation. And therefore, whatever conclusions they come about in their observations, they still try to find a very narrow perspective for their answers. Whereas what is discussed here basically are the laws of nature, the laws of creation, which laws already existed even before the human spirit germ came into existence.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for that answer and explanation. Now, I want to get back to human beings again. Claims by the families are topic we are discussing. So now, I mentioned that the human children take some time to turn into adults. Now, I was wondering, Gregory, is it a good idea to get children ready for adulthood as early, with having even responsibilities as early as possible, or is it better to let them enjoy their childhood and discover adulthood when they come of age? Gregory, can you hear me?
As with everything in nature or in creation, each personality is different. Therefore, one must look at or must examine and establish how one needs to proceed in these circumstances. But one thing must be clear. The years of childhood must be left to the child so that it can experience childhood, the carefree years, and subsequently, gradually, depending on the individual, the life of an adult is introduced. But not that at an early age of 5 or 6 or 10, responsibilities which accrue to adults are thrown at the child. That will already destroy the child.
Thanks a lot for this answer, Gregory. What I see there is, you could call it balance, but also, you give what is needed, at that time, and don't rush things and overburden a child, in their growth, because it could be, as I say, mess up their childhood, the necessary childhood experiences that they need. As you mentioned, the word carefree. So at the right time, which we must be sensing it, of course, what the child can do or what he or she cannot do or capable of doing. So thank you for that. I want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message, by Aprushin. If you want to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we are discussing tonight is the claims by family. The claims by family. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the homepage, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And as I've mentioned, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box. Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space, live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box. Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is the claims by family. Of course, you can also listen to the recordings of our previous shows also, again on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there. Now, Gregory, let's look at some examples of where children and parents sort of asks are being used in some scenario. So I'm thinking of one example here, which is let's say a domestic task of washing car or some other domestic task in the home, you can say, and this task I'm saying could be done obviously by the parents, or it could be someone employed by the parents, or in this case they ask a child to do it. So now some people will be wondering, does that child, should he or she be paid anything for that, or is because the parents saying we look after you, so you need you just do it for us, and and if they should be paid, Gregory, should it be the same amount as they would pay some employee for that service?
There's some background noise.
Oh,
please stop now.
Okay, I'll mute.
One thing one must consider is what is the age of the child. You don't expect to bring a 2-year-old child because he or she can totter and walk about and say it's time for you to start cleaning my car or washing the family car. Of course, the child will do it gladly, but the state of the car when it has finished is something else. So you yourself will not blame the child. Only through examples can parents take on their responsibilities. When through examples they show a child how things should be, that child subsequently doesn't need to be told what to do. It can already perceive of what tasks at home that can be done without being asked to do so. Although it may ask for permission if it's allowed to do that. And along such lines, the child internally appreciates that it is one for all and all for one, because it is associated with a family. That's what family is for. At an initial stage, there's the support. Nobody expects the child to support the parents when the child is only 2 months old. But as it approaches adulthood, many a task which can be easily accomplished by the child should be passed on to the child, not because it's your child, but that framework that parents need to show examples, and they will want the child subsequently to be able to stand on its own, to become independent as it grows. In that scenario, all the activities in the home will become harmonious. It is when force is used that many resent that force which is used, because simple discussion, bringing children into specific discussions which will be of benefit to them, is useful. But what you find nowadays is that that is not the case. And the children then consider they have the rights and parents should care for them without doing anything. But that's a different discussion altogether.
Thank you, Gregory. There's just one aspect of the question I wanted to check with you. What about getting paid? Because it sounded like that it's more about, how can I say, recognizing that there are tasks to be done, and then everybody has a task. So, and if you do, and part of the being raised from a child to an adult is to learn the responsibilities of being an adult. So I know you can't treat a child as an adult, obviously not, but if you want to show them the ways of an adult, then, as I say, and an adult, if it was an adult they were employing to do a task, they would pay that adult. So I'm thinking, what about the child? If they are being told, it's not about a duty as such, it's more about a task that a child will learn. Obviously they might do something else as a career, but this could be like a starting point for them to understand that, okay, this task, you get paid for doing this task. So can that be, should that be a good idea to pay a child? Of course, a capable child, not as somebody.
Now ask yourself this question. In a house, in a home, the dishes have to be done. Should parents pay the child for doing the dishes, which dishes can also be done by the parents, which dishes the child also uses, which dishes the parents also use? These are the questions. There are clothes to be washed at home. The parents can easily wash these clothes without any help. Question is, should a child be paid to put their own dishes into the washing machine? Or should a child be paid to iron their own clothes and subsequently iron their parents' clothes? because the parents have the resources and they could employ somebody from the outside. This is left to parenthood. They are closest to the child, and therefore they should know how to respond.
Thank you for that answer there and clarification, Gregory. Yes, each family will be different, so we have to not take that into consideration, with their resources and so on. So thanks for that. Now, this is again a little bit, let's say, in some places and some countries, there's a tradition where the children, when the parents get elderly and the children have become obviously adults, the parents might expect that these adult children should look after them when they become, let's say, more helpless in their elderly life. Now, is this, how can I call it, custom or tradition? It's not everywhere, I know, but let's say it is in some places, or expectation, I will say, is there in some places. Is that a right expectation, Gregory? Because maybe the parents think, oh, we look after these children to bring and brought them up. Now it's their turn later on to look after us.
Only that custom which resonates with the laws of nature, the laws of creation, only that is able to draw strength, to draw power through these laws to refresh any activity such that that activity can be lasting. Anything which is not based on resonance, which is not done voluntarily, such is not lasting. Therefore, when parents now bring in a clause, I took care of you, now you must take care of me, then you find that a basis is already established for resentment. These resentments may not be clearly visible, but deep in their thoughts, there is this resentment which keeps growing and growing until everything breaks down. That is not the way to go. If in their childhood, the parents had shown sterling examples of how it should be, then most likely children, when growing up, will emulate, because at that stage, they are like animals, they are just like copycats. They will emulate the parents and they will come to see the benefit that accrue from it. And on their own, they will do these things without being asked. They will not wait for the parents to ask. They will do these things by themselves. If, however, the parents have failed in educating the child appropriately, that means they didn't grant the child the appropriate education, or they granted a one-sided education, then through their negligence, there will be precipitations of anxiety. There will be precipitation of troubles because initially they had neglected to fulfill their task. Not every personality is strong enough to become a parent for the duties and responsibilities which parents take upon themselves by permitting a child voluntarily to come into their midst. These duties and responsibilities are enormous.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. And again, the picture you're painting there, you can see that there's like a voluntary interaction here in these scenarios, which the foundation of which has been laid by the parents, so the children can follow that example, as you say, and if that has not, it has been neglected, then obviously you can't be surprised if the children who become adults later don't want to. You don't even have to say, as you say, you don't have to even ask. The adult child would already recognize, oh, my parent needs some help now, as an elderly parent, not a parent anymore, just because you're not a child now. But anyway, you recognize that, and then you don't need to be told what to do. You can see they need help, and you automatically do that, what is required. So this voluntary interchange is there rather than being told to do something, because being told is like an imposition. Somebody may not resent, as you say, they resent it. You're asking me, why can't I do what I want? So things like that can happen. But of course, if you're brought up in a, let's say, proper way, these issues will not arise, or problems. So thank you for that. Now, Gregory, we talked about duties and rights, and you said the rights are done, come through fulfillment of duties. It's not automatic like that, right? That you get that, you have right this way or that way. Now, but then there are these practices and traditions that have developed in countries and cultures and so on. But you are saying we are supposed to work with the laws of nature and not opinions of man, or these, you didn't say directly about traditions, but let's say there are cases, Gregory, where, let's say, these traditions are, how can I say, not in line with these laws of nature. You pointed out about especially this voluntary, things are being voluntary, which means it doesn't matter what the custom or tradition says, it's just voluntary between the parent and adult child, let's call it. Whatever they choose to, do between, whatever they require and the child does in response. So the point I want to ask, or the question I want to ask there, Gregory, there's a particular tradition, let's say, which doesn't align with the natural way, let's call it like that. As an adult, you want to be free and do whatever you want and not be bound by some tradition, which is not aligned with nature. So if such a situation is there, I agree, and let's say the adult child is recognizing that and doesn't want to follow that, and maybe the parent doesn't want to follow the tradition, whatever that might be. Let's say the simple example I can think of is when the parents are grown old and then they want support from their child. They expect to have some support, How can you could break this cycle or tradition, because that also causes tension if you disagree. You say, no, I don't do this. because just I don't agree with this tradition. So how can we handle this? How can this situation be handled?
The problem is that there are traditions which have been laid down, which traditions do not resonate at all with the laws of nature or the laws of creation. Neither do they resonate with the virtues. Only that which is done voluntarily is genuine. You have the scenario where parents, in their lack of understanding, did not offer the child that which is of benefit not only to the child, but also to the society or to a family. Although at that time they thought they were doing the right thing. So you now arrive at an age where, because of the calculations, the intellectual calculations that they had put in place, you now expect your own child to, or you demand from your child or from an adult who was a child to take on certain responsibilities. But it should be viewed rightly. You, as a parent, had to move away from your own parent to establish your immediate family in order to make progress. That was why you moved away. Otherwise, you would have remained in the same house and go nowhere. Now, your children, following your example, have moved on in order to experience what the world has to offer. But now you want them not to make further progress, but to come back and support you with all they have. It is a no-brainer to know that such a scenario is already counter to that which is of benefit to the human spirit. Traditions which do not resonate with the laws of nature, with the laws of creation, these traditions fundamentally lead to rigidity and subsequently to evil, for they hold back the human personality. They hold back the human personality from experiencing a right through further investigations. So, such as you yourself mentioned, already violates what independence is. If, however, children who are now adults, out of love, wish to support their parents, then such a basis, which is based out of love, resonates. They will do their best because they themselves appreciate the responsibilities the parents took to ensure that the children made progress. So all these things, they must be based on balance. Balance of giving and receiving. The balance of giving, not taking. Balance of receiving, not taking. That means these must come from deep within, in all naturalness, self-evident, knowing fully well that it is one for all and all for one. It doesn't have to be the immediate family, but it should be the wider community. And that was why one used the word association. Where there's an association, therein lies a family. Because in that scenario of association, people have different skills. And because they have different skills, and only when they work together will things come to fruition. Same thing you have in so-called sports football team. Same thing you have in music. With music, you don't just have one tone being repeated again and again and again. There are different tones, but these tones, they must be harmonious. So unless you have a scenario in which with parents and their adult children, or with parents and the adults, there is harmony in their activities, then you will have subsequently that either they build up or there will be silent resentment which will break down at any moment.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and explanation. What it shows is that the way you are, brought up in life as a child through your parents or association, as you've also mentioned, has such a big impact in their future life, in all their future, in their own life and also the parents' life. So it's like it's quite a big, and then probably to the children that are born later, they also get passed on these so-called traditions, and customs, and then there's a friction when there's a disagreement about them. Some people accept them or don't want to accept them. So this can really cause some real tensions. And so, as you pointed out, really whatever tradition, custom, whatever it is, it must align with these laws of nature, being natural. That's what we are saying. Be natural. Look at these things in a natural way, then and do things in a voluntary way. Then lots of these difficulties and problems will not arise, or they'll be lessened, let's say. So, yeah, thank you for that. Dear listeners, I want to let you know you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell it. www.grail, Grail message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing on the show tonight is the claims by family. The claims by family. If you have any questions or comments on this topic, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And there, if you scroll down on the home page, there's a box called Bless Chat. And you can type in any questions or comments there. And as I said, we are listening to us on Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box. Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And you can also listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and then type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is the claims by family. Of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows as well, again on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, we are looking at these scenarios where, let's say, people have certain traditions and which are causing conflict with the parents and children, adult children, let's say. Now, because people think they have certain rights, that they can claim these rights, you know. Now, another one, Gregory, I would look at is inheritance, which is everywhere, I would say, in every culture throughout the world. So now, when let's say adult parents, well, usually the adult parents, when they die, they have, in many cases, it cannot be everybody, have land or property left, home or whatever, left behind, which they themselves voluntarily normally distribute to their children, who are adult, of course, in most cases. And so basically, these adult children are inheriting a property without actually having to work for that property. And and this is like as I say, automatic right. And then this happens, and or some of the parents, they do decide to give to charity and so on. So it's not everybody is the same. People do that, and they say, no, we are multimillionaire or something. Their children don't deserve that. They would rather give to charity or something like that. And those adult children may not agree with this thing, what their parents have decided, and I don't know. They might want to fight. I don't know how they can do that, but they might want to do that, and so on. So, what I want to ask Gregory is, again, is there any automatic right for inheritance by adult children? Well, I say adult children because that's in most cases it'll be this way. Um, uh, right like that to inherit property from their parents.
Maybe a simple example of fairness as seen from the perspective of the child could be helpful. Inheritance has been interpreted from only one side. The parents, because they have credits, children wish to inherit the credits. Will these children be happy to inherit the debts of their parents? The children are happy if the scenario had arisen where the parents have millions stashed out somewhere. Children wish to inherit it because they are associated with the parents. Fair enough. Will the same children be prepared to inherit the debts which had accrued to their parents so that they will pay these debts? Fair is fair. Parents must be free to use their wealth as they intuitively sense they should. Not what children or cultures say. Very, very far from it. If children then vociferate and they wish to inherit, fair enough. Then they should be able to inherit the debts and the credits of their parents. But they would throw away the debts because they don't wish to be associated with that. Association is association. The only sensible way in these matters is that of the laws of creation, which enables a balance of continuity to persist. If there is no balance, where parents just dish out their so-called wealth to the children, which children do not have an inkling of how they should work to ensure that there is continuity, then that which the children have taken upon themselves is more of poison. You cannot say, because your father is a doctor, therefore you sort of inherit the skills. Neither will you say your father is a footballer, and therefore you inherit the skills. You yourself must go out there to do battle, acquire the experience to get that which you need of. Otherwise, it's all poison which is being sown everywhere by parents just giving out largesse to their children which children don't even know how to maintain it. So much trouble has been precipitated through that particular attitude. Therefore, such cultures that persist with such discussions, such are poisonous culture because they offer to the child who inherits something without knowing the value of it. You can only value something when you worked for it or you have done something similar and you can sense the effort that is necessary. So the laws of nature, of creation, which establishes the balance of continuity, does not encourage such as you yourself have spelled out.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer and the showing the real sort of picture of what the reality is. Which is pointing to the independence. That the idea is to become independent person, not dependent. Or, well, we're talking about inheritance. So people can say, oh, actually, these are my parents, and it's my blood, and we're all connected. So I have a right to inherit what my parents have brought. Like you, but you pointed out the example of what about the debt? In case there's a debt, would they like to inherit the debt? They'll probably run 10 miles and try to declare, even refuse acknowledge to this is anything to do with them. But they're happy to collect the money when there's a credit, as you say. So you can almost see the true colors of how people are. Now, Gregory, I want to check something that sort of looking at a spiritual angle about parents and children. We know there's obviously physical inheritance of, you could say, DNA from parents to children in terms of the characteristics like body and so on. And now I wondered, Gregory, is there some spiritual inheritance too in terms of personality and behavior? Some people are, let's say, maybe calm, the others are more angry, and others are patient, and others are patient or persistent. So there are certain features some people in the family might be having, their parents would be having. And then the children, do they inherit the spiritual, the physical things they inherit obviously from the parents, the DNA. What about spiritual abilities? We hear about this, let's say, musical family and so on, or whatever talent that one family may have, and the children get this similar talent. So is there such a thing of spiritual talents being inherited as well from parents to children?
Again, these things must be first looked at from a framework of the laws of nature, of creation, such that any arbitrary assumption is eliminated from the outset. Of course, there is physical inheritance. physical inheritance because of the same species. Therefore, it is self-evident. When spirituality is talked about, that only comes about through the law of attraction, of homogeneity. That law of creation, that law of motion, in which those things which are similar come together. They come together in the sense of one for all and all for one. They come together because within the vibrations, all that is of the same homogeneity comes together. It cannot be otherwise. If there is no homogeneity in that which is spiritual, then there will be no assemblage. So from a spiritual standpoint, it is the vibrations of the spirit, vibrations which are homogeneous, that come together, that assemble together. But when viewed from the outside, sometimes it is considered to be inherited. There is nothing like spiritual inheritance. For that which is spirit is different from that which is of matter. For that which is of spirit is of more of a higher vibration, of a different species. Whereas with matter, in which we have had coagulations of particles, which particles have come together and in quotes have formed the so-called DNAs that can be passed from parents to children. But when it comes to that of spirit, it's what we refer to as resonance. Resonance, which means in their vibrations, they are close together. Do not forget, it's only through resonance that energy can be propagated out and received. Here we are in our discussions. Only through resonance are these waves propagated in ether. And for one to be able to receive of these energy waves, there is the need to vibrate in a homogeneous frequency. That is what science will tell you, which is self-evident. Therefore, one may safely and conclusively say there is no spiritual inheritance as you have with material inheritance.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and again, explanation you've given there. You know, there's so many, how can I say, scenarios I could, maybe they're not all to do with claims, but they're related, you could say, to family matters, if I can put this way. Um, Now, this is another tradition, Gregory, where let's say it's called arranged marriage, and it has been going for centuries, maybe thousands of years even. It was common even in the royal family. It's not a particular, to one tradition in one country, or here one big part, because I think it was happening all over the world, even in, let's say, royal families, where the king would choose, for their son or daughter, prince or princess, to marry somebody from another royal member of another family, from another country even. And it would, even the reasoning of it, you could call it political, was to make alliances. They didn't seem to be bothered about what the two parties, the prince or princess, want to do. It was more to do with that. So political sort of alliance there. But then, let's say, in the rest, generally in the world, people practice this as well. That is maybe more, as I say, traditional again there, and people are happily agreeing, the children, I'll call them adult children, of course, to agree to listen to their parents' and relatives' suggestions for arranging their marriage. So there's so there are two different sort of scenarios there. So my question there, Gregory, is, and they may also be considering some earthly considerations in coming to the conclusion to put two children together, or adult children, of course, I'm thinking of now. So my question is, and then as what I also want to say, Gregory, those who are getting married are still agreeing to this. So it's not a total protest in this. That's such scenario. So my question on that, Gregory, is that way of finding life partner would that be, how can I say, a good way, or let's say in line with the laws of nature, or is it that it's really each person must find their own life partner? These are like centuries old traditions, and some people want to follow them. They're not because people call it love marriage or not love marriage, and ask, do you want love marriage or you don't want love marriage? So it's like that's how they look at it. So my question there, Gregory, is this arranged system, is there something, is that against the laws of nature? Or if all parties agree, is that a right way to come together?
In any union which is referred to as marriage, that which resonates, which lasts for long, which is in accordance with the laws of creation, the laws of nature, which is in accordance with the creative will of the Almighty. In that scenario, it is said, what the Lord Almighty has put together, let no man come to split asunder. What had been put together by the creative will of the Lord Almighty, which manifests as the laws of creation, as the laws of nature, are for both parties, the complementary abilities of both parties, not of their families. So the abilities of A complements the abilities of B in the male and in the female. In such a case, their working together resonates, brings joy to those who are in the marriage, which is the two of them, and subsequently to a wider community. Any other is a violation. So whether it is princes or princesses or families that have loads of money or not, that in their scheming do not take this framework into cognition, into their activities, they already prove that they lack what this framework of creation is. And as you rightly know, what you yourself do not have, you cannot give. But should you have knowledge, persistent knowledge, which brings benefit to all, in all naturalness, it will manifest first deep within you and subsequently out of you in all activities. Therefore, any marriage in which these are not taken into consideration, where the abilities of one complements the ability of the other, such a union does not persist, does not last long.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer. Really showing, how the laws of creation work and how, let's say, we, with our own opinions and ideas, think, about these scenarios, and which is quite a different way, and it really, really can cause so much trouble when we don't allow inner sensing, intuitive sensing to work in these matters. So thank you all so much about this, in answering and explaining this. Again, listeners, I want to remind you, you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushing. If you want to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is the claims by family. The claims by family. If you have any questions or comments on this topic, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044793961 Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number one.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. As I've said, we are broadcasting on blessradio1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number one there, space live stream. That's for our live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. That's, of course, the next day. So go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number one there, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is the claims by family. And you can listen to our other previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, again the number one there. Now, Gregory, we're talking about claims by family, but there's also the state, which is supposed to look after the people in their country. Now, of course, different countries, according to their resources, provide certain services for people in need, and or not just in need, just nationally, the things are provided. But then, looking at this scenario of parents and children, or adult children, in terms of, let's say, elderly care, I'm going to look at that particular one. Let's say, because we have said it has to be voluntary, and in this particular scenario, let's say the elderly parents are not able to look after themselves, and their adult children do not wish to be involved for whatever reason. They may have even passed on for some, it could be any reason. They do not want to be involved in supporting their parents in their elderly needs. So now, is the state supposed to take responsibility in such matters? I mean, not every state does these things, so I guess, but where they do, is there, is that a duty of the state?
The questions appertaining to the duties and responsibilities of the state, unless these are considered in an intuitive way, then the challenge is that either too much or too little is thrown at the state. Of course, the state has responsibilities to ensure that it's able to encourage the inhabitants of the state to thrive in their abilities. That means those who make the laws of the state should, in their activities, have an intuitive perspective which should be of benefit to the individual. But the laws have been laid down not through that which is spiritually beneficial, but they have been laid down only in accordance with what benefits or what is convenient for the individual or for the state. After all, the state is not one person out there. That which is referred to as a state is a coming together of individuals, which, strictly speaking, is one for all and all for one. Therefore, seen from an intuitive perspective, the state should participate in ensuring that the resources, first the spiritual resources, which the individuals hold, are of benefit to all. These spiritual skills or talents, such as patience, such as those noble skills which many have that produce music, these things are encouraged such that work becomes joy. Those who are responsible for the state maintenance should work by examples. If, however, those who are responsible for the state lack this knowledge, this spiritual knowledge, they cannot exhibit that which they lack. They will only exhibit that which their maturity permits. If their maturity is of that of a low level, that is what they will exhibit. And before long, that becomes the norm within the society, which one refers to as the state. So many should not consider the state as something which is far away somewhere and then imposes on people. It is the people who are represented in the state. Therefore, the state can only give you that which they have, not that which they don't have. And therefore, each individual must not expect from the times in which they live. They should not expect from the state in which they are part of to grant them that which the state does not yet have. In that particular scenario, they will not be disappointed, but we strive through examples to make up such that these arbitrary thoughts which come in thinking that some other person must take the responsibilities, which responsibilities they themselves refuse to bear, such demands will vanish. But should you have a state in which everyone, there are no idle hands, one is in support of the other, like it is said, where the skills and the talents complement one another, you will find only happiness and joy will accrue from such a scenario. But it's not yet there. Therefore, don't ask from the times what the times cannot yet offer.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer that you've given. And again, it's like you have to live in the real world. Don't expect some magical miracle to solve your problem, and with some totally false expectation. So yeah, thank you for that. Something came to me as you were answering there, Gregory. We live in this modern world of social media and so on, and let's say when there is some need, somehow sometimes there's let's say mention in the news of something need for something there, or somehow even on social media somewhere somebody puts something out that an appeal, and then suddenly you find with trends, they call it trending, that people now start supporting that, giving money to that cause, you can say, and it multiplies quickly, let's say virally, and the help comes that way. And that is not family, of course. That is, outside fellow human beings helping another human being. And this reminds me of what you said about all for one and one for all. That couldn't happen in, let's say, in olden times, but nowadays this is there and happens quite regularly. You see that quite regularly there, and because we talked about the state, expecting things from the state, and then finding out that in some cases they cannot do anything at all, or they want, whatever reason, they can't do it. But then there's other new ways that are available. So thinking about that a little bit, Gregory, so in the world we are living today, there's a lot of people, let's say, in need out there, causes, many causes, and the states are not able to help the countries. When I say states, that means, I mean, governments are not able to help directly, and even though there's many organizations are out there doing these things. So what can I ask about this, Gregory? I'm not quite sure what to ask exactly on this matter. Gregory, if one is in need and cannot, you could say, come to family for that help, and maybe they even, how can I say, should one, how should one go about it, Gregory? Should one make a prayer? I'm just thinking, when somebody's in such needs, how they should go about it, and should they put an appeal to the world? You see that in so many disasters that happens, and like that. Yeah, when you're in sort of desperate situation, how can one and can't reach out to the family? How should one approach these issues, these scenarios?
In the first case, what has been considered family and established by dictionaries had been so limited and doesn't really hold intuitively. And that was why at the beginning there was a need to establish that that which is referred to as family is that which one can associate with. The key there is association or relate with. That relation or that association must have an intuitive basis. An intuitive basis or framework only refers to vibrations of the spirit. Which vibrations of the spirit could be that of compassion, could be that of strength, bravery, of purity. These are what the dictionary did not consider or link together when discussing families. However, when you bring that word family and use association or relation intuitively, referring to the spirit, then it becomes clear that those who in their activities strive after that which is virtuous or the virtues, in all naturalness must come together. That's coming together is like pulling resources together, where in pulling things together, the source pool increases in strength. In their purity, they are able to resonate with that which is more noble, which is higher. That's purity, which is referred to, which streams out of the human personality in need. That's cry out, in which, in seeking for a solution and being open through a reciprocal activity, that means not forming any obstacles for the reciprocal activity, such that when it comes, the personality, one, is able to recognize it, two, and make use of it. That process in itself is prayer. All what many see externally is a process of preparation. And as long as the human personality remains simple in their requests, not asking, Lord, I need a car, I need this, I need this, I need, and even some even ask, without knowing it, asking for poison. As long as the human spirit does not bring together that which is detrimental to it, and the personality seeks earnestly, then it becomes very clear. Whoever seeks in simplicity and earnestly, it is said, he who seeks diligently must find. The problem has always been, where are those who seek diligently? They do not find means what they seek may not be beneficial to them, or they seek in an arbitrary manner. Even when solutions are given to them, they ignore it. So one must differentiate seeking which is of benefit to the human personality, which is of benefit to the spirit, and seeking for material things. There are many who seek for material things, for that is what they wish to see. They do not wish for any other thing. And when they then have the material things and then they fall ill, now they don't want the material things, they want their health. So that which is spiritual, which the human spirit seeks, is different in its manifestation than what many now ask for. So the need is there for the personality to clarify themselves. That process alone is enough. For in the process of clarification, that which is not beneficial is thrown away. That which is complex and confusing is put aside until the human personality arrives at that which is simple. Then it can begin to walk, albeit calmly, but surely.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this. I don't know how to put it, answer, and really showing the picture of how you could say we receive help, and what is really beneficial to us. Recognizing these things. What we might think is beneficial may not be at all beneficial. It must be spiritually beneficial. That's really what it's supposed to be. So asking after material things is not really asking for spiritual help. That is the foundation, of our life. So if we don't seek in that way, then we cannot expect the reward, the right reward, you can say. So thank you for that. What I want to do now, listeners, we've almost come to the end of the show. This topic that we chose tonight, the claims by family, it was inspired by a lecture in the Grail Message, which is titled "The Claim of Children on Their Parents." And I thought it would be good for us to read a section of that, a part of this lecture, to end the show tonight. So this is from the lecture, "The Claim of Children on Their Parents," from the Grail Message. Many children live under an unfortunate delusion in regard to their parents, which will do them great harm. They believe that they can charge their parents with being the cause of their existence on earth. One often hears the remark, "Of course, my parents must take care of me, for they brought me into the world. It is not my fault that I am here." Nothing more foolish could be said. Every person is here on earth either at his own request or because of his own fault. The parents merely provide the possibility for an incarnation and nothing else. And every incarnated soul must be grateful for the opportunity offered. The soul of the child is only the guest of its parents. This fact alone gives sufficient explanation to enable one to know that in reality, a child can claim no rights in regard to its parents. It has no spiritual claim on its parents. Earthly rights, however, have arisen solely out of a purely mundane social order brought about by the state so that it need not take any obligations upon itself. Spiritually, the child is a complete personality in itself. apart from its physical body, which it needs as a tool for its activity on this gross material plane, it has received nothing from its parents, only a dwelling which the already independent soul can make use of. Still, through procreation, the parents assume the obligation to care for the dwelling place that they have thus created, and to maintain it until the soul which has taken possession of it is capable of undertaking its maintenance. The natural development of the body will indicate when the moment for this has come. Whatever is done beyond this is a gift from its parents. Therefore, children should finally cease to rely upon their parents and would do better to think of standing upon their 2 feet as soon as possible. In that respect, it is really immaterial whether the child works in the home of its parents or elsewhere. But it must be an activity other than mere pleasures and the fulfillment of so-called social duties. It must definitely be a really useful duty, such as would have been performed by some person specially engaged if the child no longer did it. Only in this way can one speak of a useful life on earth, which brings about the maturing of the spirit. If a child, male or female, fulfilled such a task in the paternal home, then the parents should give it the same wage as they would pay to pay a stranger engaged for this purpose. In other words, the child must be regarded and treated as a really independent human being while fulfilling its duty. If the parents are linked by special bonds of love, confidence, and friendship, it is so much the nicer for both, for then it is a voluntary tie born of inner conviction, and therefore all the more precious. Then it is genuine, and the bond will endure into the beyond for their mutual advancement and joy. But when children have reached a certain age, it is unsound and objectionable that they should continue to be subject to family customs and servitude. Naturally, there should also be none of the so-called claims of kinship on which particularly aunts, uncles, cousins, and whoever else tries to come within the category of a relative so often depend. It is exactly these claims of kinship which are objectionable abuse, and which must always disgust a person who is free and independent. Unfortunately, tradition has caused this sort of thing to become such a habit that a person usually does not bother to think differently, but quietly submits to it, even though with aversion. But he who ventures to take a small step of thinking it over freely will, from the bottom of his soul, find it all so ridiculous and repulsive that he will indignantly turn away from such presumption. Such an unnatural state of affairs must be cleared up. As soon as a new and healthy race of men awakens inwardly, then this type of abuse will definitely be tolerated no longer, because it is contrary to every sound sense. I'm going to end there. That is a reading from beginning of the lecture called "The Claim of Children on Their Parents" from the Grail Message. And if you wish to find out more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. Hope listeners, you've enjoyed the show tonight on the claims by family. Gregory, would you like to say something to end this show? to the listeners?
Well, just wishing all listeners a beautiful week.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. Hope you've enjoyed the discussion. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with another topic. Good night and God bless.